What's up, everybody? How are you all? It's your boy Sean here in full effect with Alley to Alley. And in this tutorial, we are going to discuss tennis fundamentals, all you need to get started with tennis. And all you need is a racket, one ball, and a tennis court. And we're going to cover everything you need to know to get you started on your tennis journey. This is not to say, as a disclaimer, this is not to say this is everything you need to know about tennis, but this is everything you need to know to get started. That being said, let's commence. So to start off, we are going to go over the anatomy of both the racket and the court. And this is going to come in handy when we're discussing strategy for both singles and doubles. There's a single strategy that's intrinsic to singles, and there's this double strategy that's intrinsic to doubles. They're two completely different games. So as far as understanding the mechanics behind shots such as a serve, forehand, backhand, and volley, and overhead, this is where the anatomy of the racket comes in handy. And so we're going to keep it very simple regarding the anatomy of the racket. Basically, you have the racket as a whole in my left hand right here. You have the grip of the racket or the handle of the racket. You have the throat of the racket, and you got the racket head or the face. And so basically, with regard to the racket head, the bigger the racket head, the more margin of error you have, and the more power you can get off the racket head. Just inherent to the properties of the racket. The smaller the racket, the more control you naturally get, but you have a greater chance of making an error in terms of striking the ball. That's not that important. It's just an extra side piece of information. And so, bada boom, bada bing. Continuing on, the racket, as we will zoom in, has what you call bevels. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bevels. And if you're right-handed, you count those going in the clockwise direction. If you're left-handed, you count that in the counterclockwise direction. Since I'm right-handed, we're going to be counting in the clockwise direction. And so the only two grips you need to know are as follows. You've got the hammer grip or the continental grip, where you grab the racket like a handle, like a hammer, bop, 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 bop. Or you can put your bottom left of your palm on the first bevel, and the bottom of your index finger on the second bevel. And this is your continental grip, which will be used for volleys, the backhand, and the serve. And then for a two-handed backhand, you'll put your left hand, the bottom right of your palm on the third, and the bottom of your index finger on the third bevel. Speaking of 3 and 3, that's the exact same grip you will use with your right hand on the forehand grip. This is called the Eastern grip. And I'm fully aware that there are other grips you can use, but I take a classical approach when teaching the forehand, because in order to replicate the semi-western and western grip, this is the foundation, whereby you will just eventually put the bottom of your index finger on the 3.5 bevel, and you can replicate the western grip without the negative aspects of the western grip and the semi-western grip, i.e. you can't hit low balls that well, even though they do work really well for high balls. And so, once again, this is the grip of the racket. This is a third of the racket. This is the face of the racket, or the racket head. And you have the hammer grip, bottom right palm, bottom left palm on the first bevel, bottom of the index finger on the second bevel, bada boom, bada bang. That's also known as the hammer grip or the continental grip. Then you got the eastern grip, which is like you're shaking hands with a racket, bottom left palm on the third, and the bottom of your index finger on the third. Just to be equal, we're gonna go over the same thing for the left-handed people. Because if I was left-handed, I'd be like, wow, like he really didn't explain this in the context of something I can understand. So we'll count the bevels for the left-handed people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you'll use your hammer grip like this, or the bottom right of your palm on the first and the bottom of your index finger on the second. This will be used for the serve and the volley and the backhand, and your right hand will go on the third and third, going with respect to the clockwise direction for your two-handed backhand. And then speaking of two-handed backhand, speaking of third and third, that's how you hit the forehand. Bottom right of your palm on your left hand, and then the bottom of your index finger on the third, as if you're shaking hands with a racket. And so finally, if you elect to do a one-handed backhand, you will put the bottom of your palm, bottom right of your palm on the 8th bevel, which is why we count to 8, right? You're like, why was the point of mentioning 8 if you only use the first 3 bevels? It's because if you're gonna use a one-handed backhand, you're gonna do 8. Bada bing, bada bing. For your bottom right of the right-handed, and then you're gonna put it on your bottom index finger on the first. You hit that one-handed backhand. Similarly, with respect to the counterclockwise direction, your bottom right palm for your left hand, if you're lefty, will be on the 8th, and your bottom of your index finger will be on the first for the first. The bottom of your index finger will be on the first for the one-handed backhand. And that basically covers the anatomy of the racket. Now we'll cover the anatomy of the court. So this is the tennis court. As you can see, going from left to right, you have the outside sideline for the double sideline. You have the outside, you have this inside sideline for the singles right here. You have the baseline, which is horizontal, perpendicular to my index finger. You have the tee, which divides the court in half vertically. You have the other inside sideline, and you have the outside double sideline. And then you have the service box for the deuce, and the service box for the ad. And that's basically the anatomy of the court. Now, with the deuce right here, you will serve into the diagonal service box on this side right here. And deuce means that an even number of points have been played. Going to the left of the tee, this is the advantage side. That means someone has the advantage because an odd number of points have been played. So that, and then you will serve from, oh my God, 1 second. All right. That means the odd number of points have been played. Odd number of points have been played. And you will serve into the diagonal for the odd, for the advantage. The thing is, most of the break points will be played on the advantage side, whereby you've got love 40, 30-40, and add in. Or add out. So an opponent that can fare well on the advantage side of the court is likely to win a lot more matches, because conversely to the deuce side, which only has 15-40, he or she is more likely to break you on the advantage side, which is why you want to be better at returning on the advantage side, just to play high percentage tennis. So, that being said, that is the anatomy of the court. And now we have one more thing to talk about. We have the net itself. Now, a standard net is going to be 3 feet in the center, and then going to the outside, it will peak at 3 feet 6 inches. This is going to be lower in the center and higher as you get further out. This means that when you hit the ball, the closer you hit the ball in the center, the likely it has of going over, because it is lower in the center and higher on the outside. So if you're hitting up the line, beginning further away from the center, if your positioning is further away from the center and you decide to go straight, it's harder to hit it up the line, because the net is higher and there's less court to go in through, mathematically speaking, of course. Now that we understand the anatomy of the court and the anatomy of the racket, we are going to talk about the strokes itself. the mechanics for all the strokes. So let's continue. So now that we understand the anatomy of the racket, the anatomy of the court, we are going to talk about how to hit the ball. And so I'm going to teach you all the strokes you need to know right now. Beginning with the forehand, which is my second favorite stroke. My first is the backhand. And I'm going to teach you all with the forehand, even though my first favorite stroke is the backhand, but I use the forehand more like a weapon. Pretty deadly, metaphorically speaking. So, as mentioned earlier, I'm a right-handed player, so I'm going to put my bottom left part of the palm on the third bevel, the bottom of my index finger on the third bevel as well. And when I'm in ready position, I'm squatted, and I have my left hand on the grip also. And so to commence the forehand, I make a unit turn like this. Now, I'm going to open the door metaphorically with my right hand. I'm going to take the racket back. I'm going to metaphorically look in the mirror, as in I'm holding my racket as if I have a mirror. I'm looking in the mirror, which is the face of the racket right here. I am then going to paint the fence like this. And then I'm going to make a small loop, like a Nike swoosh. Make contact with the ball, extend out to the target, and turn unit-wise using my whole body, and finish over my right shoulder. Oh, finish over my left shoulder. So we're going to run that back again. Squat position. We're going to open the door. Look in the mirror. Paint the fence. Swoosh. Extend out to the target. Finish over the left shoulder. Now, for the backhand, it's the same thing. But before we begin with the backhand, I just want to clarify some nuances for the ground strokes. If you watch me actually play, you will see that my racket prep is like this. It's because I hit with an advanced forehand, because I am very good. I'm not being facetious. I say this to say, the reason we open the door and paint the fence is because beginner players have a hard time generating their own pace and generating their own momentum, which is why you want to open the door and take a big loop in order to get your own pace. Once you have and develop the feel for the ball, the feel for the racket, which we call quote-unquote touch, that is when you don't have to take a big loop, when you can just drop the racket down, take it back, and then smack the ball, all while feeling the same effect as if you were opening the gate, painting the fence, and taking that loop. You still get the feel. Now, let's commence with the backhand. We're gonna do the same thing. So we always begin our grip in the forehand grip. We have both of our hands on the racket. My right hand's in the forehand grip, and I'm going to use my left hand to get it in the backhand grip, or the continental grip. I'm gonna make a unit turn. I'm gonna take the racket back. I'm gonna look in the mirror. The mirror is not gonna be as pronounced as it is with the forehand because you have restrictions because you have two hands on the racket. But nevertheless, you are looking in the mirror. Look in the mirror, paint the fence. Small circle, extend out to your target, finish over your right shoulder. Now, let's do the drill. Let's just do it 3 times each for the forehand and backhand. So we go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do the backhand and forehand volley. We are going to put our right hand in the continental grip, hit a racket like this, and we're going to take an out step with our racket slightly open. And then we're going to take our left foot, our left leg, put it forward, and take a slight jab with the ball as if you're almost catching the ball, but you're redirecting it. Same thing with the backhand. Take an out step with your left foot. Take your right hand, take your right leg forward. Boom. So it's very simple. The volley is really that simple. Don't overcomplicate the volley. So one more time. Out step with the right leg, unit turn. After a unit turn is important, my bad. Make sure you got a unit turn. Unit turn, and then step in with your left leg, and then jab with your right, with your open racket head. Boom. Same thing, unit turn. That's that simple. Now finally, I saved the most important stroke for last, which is the serve. Because you are a beginner, I want you to serve accordingly. I want you to go with your hand in the continental grip. Remember the hammer grip. Because you are a beginner, I want you to go rack it up, ball up, throw the football. I want you to go, once again, rack it up, ball up, throw the football. And all we're doing right now is shadowing. Now once again, I want you to go rack it up, ball up, throw the football. The reason why the serve is so important is because at the end of the day, you are in control of the match based on serve. If you never get broken and you break the opponent once, you will win all your matches just by virtue of how the game is set up. That's very unlikely to happen because there are good returners out there. But the point is, I say this to say, hyperbolically, you want your serve to be very good. You want your serve to be very good. That being said, now, let's talk about how to toss the ball with respect to the serve. Yo, what's up? It's your boy Sean Patterson in full effect with Alley to Alley. We got you covered. And in continuation with what we were saying earlier, we are going to talk about how to maximize your serve, which is the most important stroke in tennis, because theoretically, if you never get broken in your serve, you have a high probability of winning a match. Now, remember, the serve, continental grip or hammer grip, rack it up, ball up, toss, swing from like 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock, follow through. Remember, rack it up, ball up, swing, 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And that's how you hit a slice serve. And I want you to keep in mind that when you do this, putting slice spin on the ball increases your likelihood of getting the ball into the net. Getting the ball over the net and into the service box. Keep that in mind. So, right now, I'm going to illustrate that to you. Right now, with the racket up, ball up, swing. Works like magic, bro. Or sis. Now, what you gotta do after you hit the ball over the net once is you want to shadow 5 times without a ball in order to solidify those mechanics. So I want you to go rack it up, ball up, swing. 1. Rack it up, ball up, swing. 2. Rack it up, ball up, swing. 3. Rack it up, ball up, swing. 4. Rack it up, ball up, swing. 5. And so I know you might be wondering to yourself, well, Sean, don't you? When I watch tennis on TV, I see the pros go toss and ball up and rack it up at the same time. To that I would say you're absolutely correct. The thing is, by going rack it up, ball up, swing in an enunciated or pronounced way, eventually you will naturally evolve your mechanics to get to that point whereby you will go ball up and rack it up simultaneously and that will give you fluid momentum, and you will increase racket head speed in order to get higher miles per hour in direction and velocity and more spin on your serve. So you take it one step at a time in order to play in the long run how you want to play in the long run. That being said, it's your boy Sean Alley to Alley, and let's continue this part of the tutorial, because remember, we want to make it so that you do not need anybody else to practice with and can maximize your practice by yourself. That's why you got Coach Shawnee P at your service. No pun intended. That being said, let's continue. Now that we've covered the most important swing of the game, which is the serve, we are going to cover how to drill with the forehand and the backhand. It's your boy Sean here, Alley to Alley. We've got you covered. And remember, this net is at its highest the further out from the center you get. It's 3 feet 6 inches. So not only is it harder because it's higher, it's not as long because you are hitting the ball straight and not on the hypotenuse of the court. And so just to go over the forehand mechanics again, you're gonna go boom, unit turn, open the door, look in the mirror, paint the fence, swoosh, hit the ball. And when you hit the ball, you want to go low to high, and you want to brush the ball and create top spin. Just to clarify, we didn't really cover that last time, but it's okay. You go low to high, that's what we mean. You want to go low to high when you hit the ball and finish over. And then after you do that, finish over your shoulder for a complete swing. Now, with regards to doing what? Forehand. Basically, a simple drill to cover this is that not only are you going to increase your direction and accuracy, you're going to increase your RPMs for the spin on the ball. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Watch. Basically, you just want to get in the center of the alley. You go on the other side, you do the backhand. So that backhand was alright. The thing is about the backhand is it's using two hands. You gotta drop the ball, put your grip on the handle, and then hit the ball. So it's hard with the backhand, but you get the general point. So just repeat this, and if you can do 100 of these a day and increase the number of shots you get in per 100, increase your percentage, you're well on your way to being a good tennis player. alley to alley. We got you covered. Stop. All right. So now let's discuss strategy. I was going to do a little mock-up on the computer, but I figured, hey, we're already at the court. Let's just keep it pushing. So we're going to do singles. And so for the singles, no matter what, you want to follow what's called the directionals. And so if I'm hitting a forehand and I'm on the deuce side, my natural proclivity with respect to the angle of my body is towards going diagonal, going across, or what we call cross court, across the court. If I get a short ball in no man's land, which is this area right here, this big square, right, this big rectangle right here, no man's land, I'm going to hit the ball straight ahead and then go for the volley straight ahead and then across. And then once again, just to repeat that, if I'm on the deuce side and I get a forehand, I'm going to go across court. That's if the ball's deep. If it's a little bit short, a little bit past the service line, I'm going to go straight ahead, hit that volley, and then end the point. You don't ever want to hit more than 2 volleys as a rule of thumb. It's just inefficient. And the more volleys you hit, the more likely you are to lose the point. Now, what I'm about to say to you is very important. So please pay attention. I'm going to say it after I say this. So imagine if I get a backhand on the deuce side. Where does it go? Cross court? Maybe, if you're that good. But because we're following the directionals, we want to put that puppy up the line and then haul it to deuce, haul it to the ad side. Because the opponent has a natural proclivity to do what? Go cross court again on the backhand side. Now here's where you become dangerous as a right-handed player in the singles realm. If we're cross-courting backhand to backhand to backhand to backhand from ad to ad, and I get a forehand, where does it go? Does it go up the line again? Sure, it can do that, but you can also go cross court because it's a low percentage shot. It's still a high percentage shot. And that's why you want to really develop that forehand to be very dangerous. Because if you have a forehand on the ad side, you can go cross court, or you can go up the line, and you can really confuse your opponent about what to do. Similarly, if it's just past the service box, if the ball is just past the service box, you can go straight ahead, finish with 2 volleys. Now, remember, get a forehand on the deuce, go cross court. And why is that? Remember I said the hypotenuse earlier? Remember I talked about that? If not, it's okay. Well, geometrically speaking, we have a rectangle, and that can be divided into 2 triangles. You have the length, the width, you have the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side of the triangle, just by what we call mathematics. It's a scalar triangle, I think, because no two sides, like all the sides are different, and the longest side is always going to be the hypotenuse. So so this gives you more room to hit the ball into. That's why we practice that drill where we go straight ahead. Because if you can hit straight ahead over the highest part of the net, you can hit diagonally over the lowest part of the net, which at this point is 3 feet. Remember, the drill we're doing, the net is 3 feet 6 inches. So if you can go over the hypotenuse of the low, if you go over the highest part of the net and one of the highest part of the net and one of the sides that's not as long as the hypotenuse, you can definitely hit it within the court over the lowest part of the net, and the side is the hypotenuse. So that's why we go cross court for the forehand, and directionally we go over straight for the back. We would go straight ahead and down up the line for the backhand, because that's just the natural proclivity of our body. It doesn't make sense to try to go out backhand unless you're just that good and can hit it inside out backhand. Now, for the forehand on the ad side, if you're a right-handed player, it makes sense to go up the line inside in because of the natural proclivity of our body, and because it's the lowest part of the net. And the hypotenuse, and because the angle, and slightly because of the angle of our body. That is why we're able to go inside out. And so if you're rallying cross court, backhand to backhand, and you get a forehand, you can go inside out or inside in. Now, bada boom, bada bing. We get a ball that's around here, no man's land. We're gonna hit it up the line, straight ahead, and we follow the ball in the direction we hit it. That's gonna cut off the angles. And as we move forward, we are closing in on the net, and we want to hit 2 volleys, maybe one straight ahead, and then one away from the or away from the opponent, or one away from the opponent and then one straight ahead. You'll instinctively develop a sense for where to hit the volley. Generally, you might want to keep the ball straight in front of you for the first volley, so you can continue to close off the angle, and then you can close off away from the opponent for the second volley and the point. And if the opponent lobs, you can always hit an overhead and end the point. And the overhead is basically the same point mechanics as the serve, so I'm not going to go over that. And so that is just basic single strategy, and this will conclude this portion of the tutorial. Alley to alley, we've got you covered. Alright, I said I wasn't gonna go over the overhead in full detail, but I'm going to teach you how to do the footwork for the overhead. So once you get the overhead, it's very simple. Mechanically, it's similar to a serve. Footwork wise, you're going to step forward and push off with your left leg, and then go back, and then you're going to lift up, overhead, and put it away. You should never hit more than 2 overheads, if at all 2 overheads. So that being said, it's your boy Sean with Alley to Alley. Thanks for watching the Tennis Essentials tutorial. As we progress with the tutorials, we will cover more advanced concepts. This is enough to get you started. And I hope you have a fantastic day. It's your boy Sean Patterson, full effect. Alley to alley, we got you covered. Stay up. Peace.